starting off, what do you actually do?
Oh, okay. So I'm a PhD candidate with the CRC for honeybee products at University of Western Australia within the Honeybee Health Research Group. Basically, that means I'm a massive bee nerd and I get to spend my days researching honeybees and ways to diagnose diseases faster.
What kind of diseases do bees have?
Bees actually get a lot of different diseases. So
Oh.
I focus on bacterial diseases, American foul brood, which is caused by the bacterium Panabacillus larvae in particular, but they're also prone to getting viruses. They get fungal infections. There's a whole range of things. They get a lot of parasites. I mean, you might know Varroa, the mite, and they also get plagued by moths. There's wax moths that get into the hive and eat the wax.
I didn't like moths.
So they get pretty smashed up by a lot of different things.
Yeah, and so you work on a specific disease?
Yeah, so American foul brood, or AFB, as the beekeepers tend to call it.
As the people in the know.
Yeah, the people in the know.
What does it actually do to the bees?
It sounds quite horrific. Basically, the disease turns the baby bees into this gooey slime.
Oh no!
Yeah. So they go from being healthy, white, happy larvae that look like maggots, in which, I mean, for people like me, that's like beautiful, lovely little maggoty bees. But it turns them into this horrible brown, ropey mess that it stinks. And that's kind of where my research comes in. So because of this horrible smell that the disease creates, I've been looking at what chemicals or molecules are in that smell and then trying to develop sensors for those molecules so then we can sense when there's the disease in the hive.
What inspired the research?
It really came down to industry need. So industry has been dealing with this disease for a long time. Unfortunately, we don't have good statistics on how prevalent the disease is in industry because it's got a weird stigma around the disease where beekeepers don't want to talk about it and they don't want to admit when they get the disease either, because for a long time it was considered to be a management disease where you're a bad beekeeper if you get this disease. And we're trying really hard to change that perspective to you're not a bad beekeeper if you get the disease, you're only a bad beekeeper if you do nothing about it and you don't report it. But the beekeepers are struggling with the disease more and more. We know that it seems like there's more of the disease around, and with pollination services increasing, so that's where farmers are hiring beehives to go and spend time at their orchard or at their crop to then do pollination services.
Yeah.
When we have lots of hives coming together, so for example, I think it was last year 100 beekeepers took 200,000 hives or something similar to that, ended up in the almond orchards in Victoria. But that's heaps of hives that aren't really being checked for disease. Only about 10% of those hives will be checked for disease before they make it into the orchard. So it's a bit like going to a really busy nightclub during COVID. You don't know what you're going to get. You could end up passing on that disease. You could catch that disease.
Yeah.
So it's quite dangerous. So we need to have better systems in place so we can speed up that checking process.
Well, yeah. Well, I think I was telling someone about the bee movie. I was like, you know what bothers me about the bee movie? It's not that the bee and the woman fall in love. It's that all the worker bees are male. And they're female, right?
Yes, definitely.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah, so male bees or drones, they're only in the hive in certain periods of the year. So they're only around usually during the summer months and a bit of spring and autumn. And they don't really have a great life. Basically what happens is they are made basically to fulfill the role of carrying on the genetic material. So their job is to just sit in the hive and wait for a virgin queen to go flying past. If they then they'll go and fly off and mate with her in the air. They mate in the air.
Wow.
If they're lucky, then they'll mate with a queen and they die during the process.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's quite explosive, literally. But if they don't do that, then they kind of just keep hanging out in the hive, and eventually when it gets cold and resources are scarce, the workers kick them out of the hive, dragging them kicking and screaming, and actually bite their wings off and sentence them to death.
That would have 100% changed the bee movie.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it doesn't have the same ring to it for kids.
And to finish up with, after you said you had so many fun facts, I do desperately want to hear one.
Oh, okay. My top favourite fact would have to be that bee sperm is about 4 times longer than human sperm.
Wait, what? How?
Yeah.
And why? Why? Why should it be?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, and we're still trying to figure out
No!
the why. Insects often have ridiculously long sperm, and there's a lot of theories that it has to do with sperm competition. So when a honeybee goes out on, they call it the nuptial flight, and it's basically a flight of passion, she can mate with up to 90 drones just in quick succession, leaving this little trail of dead, exploded bodies. And then she'll only accept about 3% of that sperm.
Wow.
So there's this massive sperm competition that must go on in her
Yeah.
internals. So even though the drones die immediately during copulation, she'll actually store that sperm for the rest of her life, and that can be up to 7 years. So
Whoa.
the sperm will definitely outlive their maker.
Wow.
And honeybees are incredibly efficient at fertilizing their eggs as well. So if you think
Yeah.
about how many sperm a human male will throw at a single egg and still not a great chance of
Yep.
getting pregnant, a bee will actually use 1 or 2 sperm per egg in fertilization.
That
And
is
she
so
actually,
successful.
it's incredible. And she actually controls whether or not to fertilize that egg. So she can lay unfertilized eggs, which are the drones, the boys. It's only the workers that are made from fertilized eggs.
Huh. That's wild. I don't understand, like, they're so little. Like, how are they, like, their little bodies are storing it all.
Yeah, so she has this, it's a special organ called a Spermatheca. It's basically like a sperm pocket where she just
Wow.
keeps all of the sperm. And it's her little pouch where she just plucks the sperm when she needs them.
Oh, the queens are amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, they are so cool.